And we're going live.
Hello, everyone. I believe we are live. Welcome, welcome, beautiful people. I'm so excited tonight that I have Alexis with me as well as my friend Lewis. And tonight we're going to talk about astral projection and a little bit about astral travel and honestly kind of chat about, is there really a difference? And we will be sharing our experience and any methods or techniques that we have tried or heard about that has worked or not worked, right? And so, as you all know, I've had Alexis here with me last week, and I have Lewis on today. And so I'm really excited to have Lewis because we actually had a conversation months ago about astral projection and astral travel. It kind of stemmed from a conversation about sleep paralysis. And if you didn't get to catch that, I do have the replay here on my YouTube channel. Definitely check that out in the Dream live stream playlist. But yeah, I wanted to invite Lewis here again to talk more about the astral projection experience that he had, as well as maybe just share about a little bit about the technique if he remembers it. So thank you, Lewis. Welcome in. And can you maybe tell us a little bit about your relationship with your dream space and maybe, what your dreams are like now, if you pay attention to them, record them, like where are you at within the nature of the relationship with your dreams?
Okay, so my name is Luis, aka Kettle Buddha. Um, I don't really follow my dreams that much. Actually, I don't dream that much because, well, I was smoking weed for a long time, and weed stop you from having dreams. I don't know why, but it does. I don't write them down or anything. But when I have dreams, they are not. I mean, I have lucid dreams where I know it's a dream. I have had that in the past, but not lately. When I have the dreams, I see the dream, and then it's not that long, and then I wake up. But I kind of remember them pretty vividly, and then throughout the day I just forget about
Mm-hmm. So you do remember them like initially, and then it
it.
kind of
Yeah,
just slips away. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So, well, we have you here tonight talking about astral projection. And this is going to be a really interesting chat because I feel that Alexis, Lewis, and I are all in different um like experiences when it comes to dream work, when it comes to maybe astral projection and astral travel. And there are multiple ways in which you can really have these experiences. I know for me personally, where I'm at now, I tend to remember my dreams a lot more like stronger than I have ever before. Honestly, I write my dreams not every day, but I'm at the point where I can discern what dreams are significant enough for me to write, or those ones that I'm like, ooh, I really don't want to forget them. Even though I know I'm not going to forget them, I like want to have them on paper or note it so I don't forget them. But before that, I was in a space where I was so in tune, in a sense, not saying that I'm not that way now, but so connected to my conscious reality. And in a sense, and in that experience, I just recently realized that I was a bit afraid of going deep into my dream space for many reasons. And so I made this agreement, and it's been a time where I've said it out loud, where it's like anything I need to know that would probably come through dreams, allow me to receive that message in my conscious awareness, or in my waking life, so to speak. And so I tend to still have that agreement as well, but I put a lot of focus on my dreams now as far as recording them. Now, when it comes to astral projection and astral travel, and so I think it'll be important for us to define these things. But with astral projection and astral travel, I would say, like specifically with the astral travel part, I was a master at that. Like I feel like I can say it confidently, because I had an ongoing practice doing that before I had my daughter. And so now I don't have the time and space to do that as like I was. But at this point, astral travel is something that I really naturally just fall into, right? And so firstly, I want to ask Alexis, you know, where are you as far as like the astral projection, astral travel, and in your dream space as well?
So in regards to astral projection, I haven't been able to intentionally sit down and do it in my waking like realm. I had a recent experience where I was trying for one of the first times trying to astral project, and I got like the essence of it, but I couldn't get over that like ledge to just drop into it. I was modeling figure modeling, so for a drawing class, and it requires sitting absolutely completely still for upwards to 20-25 minutes. And during those 20-25 minute ones, I really put in an effort because you have to meditate anyway to be able to stay still. But I actively was trying to project out of my body, astral project out of my body. And I got just the essence, just the like slight visual. But there was too much distraction in the room for me to be able to actually go ahead and do it. But in regards to my dreams, I do feel as though I have continuously astral traveled in my dreams. I mean, especially looking back at them now. And even one of the things that I'm wondering is maybe even because they say that you can astral travel through different realities and through different times too. Like I've listened to a couple videos where they talk about traveling through time. So it makes me question, you know, the prophetic dreams I've had. Was that just me astral traveling in my dream further into the future? So I'm now just looking back at all of these experiences and really like honing in on these ideas because it makes so much sense for what I've like experienced in the unconscious. But in regards to the
Mm-hmm.
conscious, like the unconscious being awake and then inducing it, I haven't intentionally done that yet.
So I think this is a good place to kind of define the different or what it is to astral project and astral travel. And are these two different things and such? So I guess I can do that. Astral travel from my perspective or astral projection from experience and from what I've read is the act of your spirit basically separating from your spirit body or your ethereal body or your astral body, whatever you want to call it, separating from your physical body, right? So it's the act of having that out of body experience, right? And I feel with astral projection, from my understanding, is the strong or astral projection from my perspective is the strong awareness that you are in fact out of the body. Like there's like I feel very like a very strong emphasis on that versus astral travel from my perspective is maybe you're in your maybe there's no need to have the conscious awareness that you're out of your body per se, but you're in another state of consciousness or you're just out there already somewhere. What do you think, Lewis? How would you define astral projection and astral travel? And if there's a difference, really?
Yeah. Well, since you made the question, actually made me think about it because I never thought about it, but I thought it was the same thing. But based on my experience, what I had was astral projection and not astral travel because I didn't actually travel in space.
Mm.
So, so your definition of astral projection will make sense to me based on what I experienced. Yes. So it's like
Mm.
the awareness of being out of your body.
Yeah. So what was your experience like, if you want to share that again?
Yeah, so like Alexis said, um, I practiced it like 12 years ago, around 12 years ago or 10 years ago. And yes, you have to meditate for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes or longer, depends on how still you can be. Like you really have to be still, like even when I remember like even meditating, when something is itching your body, I just put my attention on that spot and it disappears if I really put the attention there, right? So yeah, I practiced like for a month. I was like so sober. I just was like every day practicing. And so I have many things that I experienced before I could actually get out of the body. But if you want to know what I experienced when I got out of the body, it was literally, so I was meditating for a long time, but I experienced so many things before. Like for example, uh, like the body is getting not paralyzed, but it's like numb. You don't feel it at all once you get to that point, right? So the body started shaking, my legs started shaking, like I couldn't control it, and then everything stopped, and I was like, I didn't feel my body, but I was so aware and conscious, right? I keep meditating, and there is many things that you can do to get out of the body. One is trying to move your astral hand or astral leg or whatever when you don't feel your body at all. You can try doing that or trying to roll up to the side of the bed, kind of
Mm-hmm.
rolling with your astral body, on your body. The other way is trying to focus on your inner sound in the ear. So you you kind of put all your attention in your ears, and if you go far enough, there is a moment where you feel when you hear like a sound, right? If you focus on that sound enough, it will become like an airplane engine, like that in your ear, which can be scary. But I didn't get scared because I was in a meditative state and I was consciously trying to do it. And it was like, okay, it's happening. When I heard that, I felt my bed sucking me down. And then I got scared. And then I said, like, hell no. And I went back to my body, right? And then, obviously, I mean, you cannot get out of that meditative state. If you get out of that meditative state, it's like you have to start all over again. And it's really hard because after that, I got super hungry. It's like, okay, I don't have energy to try this again. Maybe tomorrow. Um, so that was one thing that I experienced. And the next time was, I was meditating a lot, and then I just by it happened by itself. I just started kind of going up. But the interesting thing that I experienced was that in my room, in the physical room, in reality, my room was lit by a lamp. But when I get out of the body and I feel I'm still lying down in my astral body, right? So when I look to the right to see my room, it was like pitch black. It was like I couldn't see anything. It was black, black. But when I turn to the front, I see my TV and I see it like it was lit by a candle. So light is different in that realm, if it is a realm.
Mm.
So when I saw that again, I got excited. It's like, wow. And then I went back to my body. So you cannot get excited. You cannot get scared. You have to stay like numb, just observing, I guess. So that was actually the astral projection that I'm talking about, I didn't travel because apparently you have to then get up or upright and kind of project reality with your attention, and then you start seeing things, right? I didn't do that because when I achieved that, at that time, I had my spiritual guide, rest in peace, and he told me to stop doing it. And he never told me why, and I just stopped. But I shared this with another energetic woman like 2 months ago, and she told me that maybe he told me to stop doing it because probably I didn't have anything in this reality to for me to hold on, you know. So I could have
Mm-hmm.
actually leave. I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
now she said like she feels like obviously I'm more anchored and more rooted to this
Mm-hmm.
reality. So maybe would be time to try it again.
Yeah, and I think, thank you. I love every time. I think this was, yeah, this is only the second time I've heard it, but I watched our video a few times, or at least the clip. And every time you explain it, I get goosebumps. And I just love hearing it because I had a similar experience. And for those of you watching who haven't heard my experience, and I'll keep it pretty short, as far as astral projection, is that I had a similar experience as Lewis, where I essentially, the first time I astral projected, it was unintentional. As I've said many times, I have I've experienced sleep paralysis in the past. It's been a while. But that was how I had the astral projection experience in both cases. The first time it kind of just happened, which led me to look up if there was a connection between sleep paralysis and astral projection. And there absolutely is, just in the sense that it might be easier for you to astral project in a sense. And so the second time I had sleep paralysis, right after that unintentional astral projection, I remembered what I read and I focused. I calmed myself down and I focused and kept saying, I want to astral project. I want to astral project. And it didn't take long. And I heard that sound, like it was like a boo, and I felt that vibration and I felt the hover. And I did float out of my body all the way up to the ceiling, turned around and saw myself laying there and freaked out. And then as soon as I freaked out, I was back in my body, unfortunately, in sleep paralysis for a moment. But yeah, so I totally feel that. And what's really interesting is with anything, we want to have an intention with why it is that we're doing this. And so maybe that's why in the past we haven't fully been successful when it comes to the point in which you are traveling, in a sense, when you're moving about after this projection out of the body. And I like with one of the videos that I've watched as well, referring to regarding astral projection, is that the kind of the if you are doing astral projection slash astral travel as a spiritual practice, one of the ways you can do this, or maybe an intention or a reasoning for doing it, is to connect with different dimensional aspects of yourself, right? So if we consider ourselves to be multidimensional aspects, and there's not necessarily a higher self, but other selves within other realities and realms, and how that could even, how we even process that is just with astral travel. It's a way to integrate those aspects of the self, to merge with other aspects of your consciousness, right? And so I should probably define astral travel. And my understanding of astral travel is, once your spirit's out of the body, then astral traveling is just traveling, or like your spirit body traveling around within different planes of existence, different dimensions. And so personally, when I had the experience of the unintentional astral projection, I had maybe what seemed maybe like 5-10 minutes. I'm sure is really, really short, but I had projected out of the body, and I was floating around my house, but I never made it outside of the house or anything. And I remember pretty much everything looked the same except the white cat that somehow was in my house. And I don't know if that was another, like, I mean, I had at that point, we had 5 cats living in our house. It was a huge house. I had 3 other roommates. We all had cats. And so there was a lot of the feline energy. And I mean, a lot of us know that felines can travel, you know, between realms or within multi realms. And so that could have been what I experienced. But I really like the notion of us astral traveling to integrate these aspects of ourselves. And so when it comes to astral travel and astral projection, like I said, I have a lot of experience with what I consider astral travel, as I used to do these deep trance meditations where I would lay on the floor. I would have, you know, some headphones in or earbuds. I would, like, this was a whole practice where I would lay in a star formation, and at each point of, like, one at my hand, at each hand and at each foot and at my crown, I would have a crystal, and all of them were quartz crystals except the top was an amethyst. And I would journal, I would write my intention with what I desired. And then I would just I would lay down and just be out for at least an hour. And within these meditations, the very first time I felt that I astral traveled and had a really profound experience, I did feel my body hovering. I felt like this warm sensation and a vibration, even though I didn't really project per se out of my body in a conscious way. In that way, it was all contained within the consciousness. And so what I really also enjoy contemplating that came forth in one of the videos I watched is that astral travel could also be, in a sense, a way in shifting our perspective or entering into another state of consciousness. So this woman presented that we're always in a state of astral travel unless we are in the present moment and paying attention to, like, what's right in front of us in this physical realm. And that can come in many ways as just being a very present, aware person in the moment, or it can come in a space of where you're even, you know, you're disconnected from, you know, the divine or from just the bigger things in life, so to speak. And you might be in the sense of, you know, worry or just focused and fixated on the present, which there's no good or like wrong, bad or good way. It's just different levels of perspectives and where you are, you know, in your spiritual evolution. So I know I just like put a lot out there.
Yeah,
So
so you mentioned vibration, and that's what it is, because that's what we experience. Like, our body starts vibrating in a certain frequency. And I just thought about Flash. You know, Flash, he moves so quick that he can actually go through the wall, right? And
mm-hmm.
that's what I saw in my mind when you
Yeah.
saw vibration. It's like we start vibrating to a point that the astral body cannot stay in the body anymore, and it just elevates.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why we are trapped here in this body being dense, because we lower our frequency to be here.
Yeah, like it resonates. What do you think, Alexis?
Yeah, I mean, I think that astral projection is just such, and travel is such an interesting thing. And I was looking at different articles and reading different things from books. I'm actually reading Robert Allen Monroe's Journey Out of the Body. I'm about halfway through that, and that's basically a log of all of his astral projections. And he was the person who opened the Monroe the Monroe School, I think Monroe University or studies, whatever, to study astral projection. And it was because he had already had the ability and was journaling it with his colleagues. And his like experiences are so interesting. So he would write down the time of when he planned to lay down and tell his or sometimes he wouldn't, but he would tell like people he was working with that he was going to lay down and start to try to astral project. And he would astral project, and it almost seemed like he was over top of the cities traveling. So he would travel intentionally to like his friend who's collaborating with his house while he's in this astral projection, and he would recount what he saw of them, what was going on in their house, what different things were happening, and a lot of the times that would be correct to what they were actually doing in the real like realm. And I personally haven't intentionally, like I mentioned before, sat down and tried to meditate into that astral projection. But in regards to that and astral travel, they talk about too, in different sources, how it is reported to involve more consistent and controlled sensory perceptions, kind of almost like mirroring the physical world, so you can feel more and smell more and just kind of be more a part of it. And that's kind of why I feel like that's something that I definitely have experienced within my dreams. It's not intentional. I'm not intentionally doing it, but acknowledging how intense these experiences are and what I feel, and I'm sure you can relate as well, with how intense your dreams are, and it just makes so much sense. And then you kind of have this, well, is it lucid or is it astral travel? And or do they blend together and it's a part of the same experience? And I'm just so interested, and since I'm reflecting on all these experiences I've had personally in my unconscious, it just pushes that interest to do it consciously and really meditate into that, especially feeling like that slight like essence from trying to do it in my modeling class. And I actually, while I was sitting here listening to you guys talk, I had a memory pop up in my head. And I feel as though that actually was an experience now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm new to learning about this type of this type of this type of experience, the astral projection and travel. I'm new to the knowledge of it, so like if it's happened to me before, I didn't necessarily know if it was. But I remember specifically I had taken a bath, and I had the lights dimmed, and I had incense going, and I put on a meditation, and the specific meditation was kind of like becoming one with the earth. And I feel as though my experience with that was I was out of my body. I was down in the earth and back out, and I didn't even think about this as being that kind of experience until we were sitting here talking about it. And yeah, if I can go deeper into that, that would be such an awesome thing to I feel like I have no other synonyms for experience right now. But yeah, like I'm very, very excited to take all this knowledge from what we're talking about now and adhere it to my own life and really start my practice more intentionally and more passionately too. Especially hearing about you guys having that similar type of thing where like the sensations match and you're really feeling that vibration and that energy, that detach. I really am so excited.
So two things. I wonder if the guy of the book you're mentioning is actually the guy I found that was like what, back in 2012 or something. And there was I can't remember the guy's name, but it was a guy that he actually experimented with a bunch of people, teaching them the steps, which were the steps I downloaded to follow. And apparently everyone who tried it achieved the astral projection. Okay? And the other thing you mentioned is the sensations, because after I go up and come back, Actually, I think that was around 5 a.m. in the morning. So when I go back to my body, I come back with a sense of compassion that I never felt before, and I haven't again, to the point that my mom, got up to go to work, and I felt so much compassion, like, why my mom has to work. I wouldn't like to for her to do that. And I was like you know, like a crying emotion, but and then obviously that faded away like 2 hours later. But that's interesting to mention, I think, that you actually, when you get out of the body, either you connect with who you really are, and all these emotions are enhanced in a way, or well, I think that's the best explanation I can come up with.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm really enjoying just this connection of the travel, the astral travel. There's so many ways, as we were explaining, that we can travel, and there's the strong awareness is what I'm getting from the actual act of projecting out of the body, like being a witness to that process. And within that process, there's that strong level of awareness. And at the same time, you can have astral travel in which it's all like in your consciousness, if that makes sense. So it's like, I don't know if it's you just somehow bypass the projection part, and it's all about perspective. So when I had on both of those accounts that I would consider the typical astral projection, I felt and saw my body come out of or felt it come out of the body. And then immediately my perspective changed to a virtual reality type perspective of like the first vision, the first perspective type vision. And within my astral travels outside of that, like from another form of meditation, it was all like watching a movie, but it wasn't virtual reality. But if I'm like watching it scene by scene, what happens like most time when I'm doing visualization meditations and just meditating in a sense. But I would definitely connect those as both as both astral travel. And I have had really profound experiences through those conscious, like meditative visualization travels as well. So I'm just really intrigued by the different levels of travel, which I would never consider that in a way to be some sort of astral travel. We have a few comments here, interesting comments. And so shout out to Mary. Mary's here. Mary says that, wow, astral projection could confuse one versus understanding it as a channel or a download. So I think you're saying astral projection can kind of confuse the person experiencing it, not understanding if it's like you're channeling a spirit or if it's like you're receiving a download. Is that what you're kind of getting at there, Mary? You have to like let me know if that's what you meant. But yeah, it can be kind of confusing. But I think that like when you have a projection, like it's a projection. And I don't know, I don't have the experience of having astral projection without already knowing about it, because there's also been, people that have had astral projection when they were little, like it was just a natural ability. And when they were a child, you're confused. Like I was watching another video where a woman was talking about she started having astral projections at age 6 or 7, and she remembered, like in those moments she thought she was like, I'm supposed to be dreaming, and she's looking at her body like sleeping on the bed. And but she didn't, it felt off, but it didn't feel scary. And she didn't have anyone to talk to it about, so that part was scary. And so for me, I knew when it was happening and I came out of it, I knew exactly what that was. Like I can't imagine, I'm sure for some people it could be really scary or terrifying or confusing when you have that experience and you don't know like what the hell that was, right? You don't have the spiritual like knowledge or awareness to know that, okay, this was an out of body experience of XYZ, right? So I can see that being a
What
challenge.
what is actually scary is the sleep paralysis because
Yeah.
like when you are out of the body or experiencing these things um, while practicing astral projection, it's not scary at all. Like I mean, it could be scary, but you don't feel that. And the other thing that I experienced, when I was practicing it, that it can be, I mean, that's the thing that Alexi was talking about, if it is a dream or if it is the same experience, because I'm lying down, my eyes are closed and everything is dark, right? So I'm in this meditative state and, suddenly I see like a square, like really far, right? And then that square start coming back, coming to me. It becomes bigger, 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 and then I kind of go inside that square. In that square, I'm in a car with my friend. My friend is driving, and I'm the co-pilot. So, but everything that happened right away. I didn't have control of it. So I'm going down to my feet. I grab a bag and I throw it out of the window of the car. But when I do this motion, I feel this exact motion with my astral arm in reality. So when I feel that, I get out of that dream or whatever that was, and then I come back to my body, and it's like, wow, what was that? I felt it. I moved the astral arm because I was still. So I would say that I went consciously into a dream,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever I experienced in the dream, I experienced it in reality or in my bed, but with my astral body, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Humane Dragon, thank you for being here. So Humane Dragon says there's a way to tell between astral travel or dreams. Dreams feel different, and in the astral you feel more emotion. They
Mhm.
also mentioned that let's see. I've linked going from dreams to astral travel as instead of meditating to ascend this way. So if you're going from your dreams to astral travel, it's kind of like a form of ascension, I'm assuming is what you're mentioning here. And I kind of feel that in a way, like there's levels of awareness. And if you have your dreams, which your dreams are, you're having your dreams, you're in it, whether you remember it or not, that's a thing. And then the lucid dream is kind of that next level up where you're in the dream, right? You're in the nature of like a scene. And yes, you can be in that scene, you can change the scene, but it still feels like there's some sort of boundary with maybe where you could go. And then I feel with the astral travel or the astral projection, therefore leading into astral travel, it's almost like there's a boundless aspect to astral travel, just like from my experience, like the way everything moved, like the way my body moved. It was like I don't have the experience to say I can change the scene, but it's like more so I can just move at a faster pace than kind of like commanding and then seeing what happens, right? So I can see from a dream to a lucid dream to an astral projection and astral travel that there's like there's steps within the consciousness where it feels like there's some sort of and for lack of better word, a higher vibration or vibrational frequency is increasing, therefore we become lighter, therefore we're less bound, right, and restricted. And so it's like, yeah, it's really these are the things that keep me up all night because it's really got me thinking about a lot of things. And just, yes, what is reality? What are dreams even now? Like, is that some form of like its own sense of boundary within some type of realm, and then the projection into that experience is like absolutely in a different dimension. So let's see what else we got going here. Just checking in on the comments. It's like, oh, I like how Mary says it's like a live daydream. And yes, I'm the queen of daydreaming. Like I'm always daydreaming. I'm always living in another reality, honestly. And so that to me absolutely feels like astral travel. And one of the women in the videos that I watched actually mentioned daydreaming as a form of astral travel. Like any type of experience or perspective where you're not just like, okay, I'm sitting here right now having this conversation. If you're wandering just within your mind and your consciousness, that in a sense is a form of astral travel. So I can definitely relate to that.
Absolutely. I love that aspect of it so much. And bringing a kind of astrology into it, I wonder too if it's having heavy air signs in your chart or a part of your big three play a role in how frequently you're able to daydream and kind of separate yourself in that way, because I find myself daydreaming so much. And when it's a feeling, when you're brought back into paying attention, you're back into the like you're brought back into the like waking realm. Even though you're daydreaming, you're not there until someone pulls you back in.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I even find myself like, because I know exactly what happens, my eyes go blurry and I just kind of slowly like go away. And like I have to stop myself from doing that because it's a problem, especially when people are talking to you.
Yeah.
Like I have that
you start
issue
to blank
where
out,
like
you're
people will be talking to me and I'm like, oh, gone. And I feel so bad because I do really enjoy daydreaming. So it's not like it's something I'm upset about, or it's just I have to control it better, be more respectful, even if I don't mean to disappear. It's still affecting my relationship and my environment. So it can be a little tricky, but I love that aspect that I watched the same one. I love when she talks about that because it really just relates to just how I exist, and I'm sure how you exist too.
Yeah, so I like the concept also of how astral travel can be a benefit for, you know, your health and well-being, for integration of aspects of yourself. And Lewis, you already shared, you know, some of your experience of having that astral projection or out of body experience and how you felt coming out of that in your kind of your response to your conscious reality. You shared a bit of that. Is there anything else that you feel came through after that experience, like some sort of shift in your awareness, or did you feel a sense of integration? I know you haven't had a lot of experience, or it didn't happen, you know, ongoing for a long time, but just in that span of time, do you have like some sort of clear, you know, awareness of any type of integration or something of that nature?
Well, like, I mean, like at that time, it was like my awakening process, right? I was meditating a lot. I was like into, all kind of stuff, into the rabbit hole, I guess. And it's still, right? But I mean, I would say that that experience made me realize that, things are not the way we are told, you know. There is something else going on that we can have access to. And if we have access to that, and when I came with that sense of compassion or something like that, imagine how big the human experience can be. Imagine how, like, what we really are, like we are beyond our emotions. We are beyond the anger that we experience in the daily basis. We are, it's like it just opens your mind to so many possibilities.
Yeah. Do you feel any like inspiration to get back into that again? Or do you feel like content where you are as far as, you know, the
Yeah,
astral
well,
travel through your daydreaming? Where are you at with that?
yeah, no, I've tried practicing again, but because I was smoking, you need to be sober
Yeah.
because if you are under the influences of weed, you are gonna fall asleep, and and to achieve astral projection, you need to go beyond falling asleep, which
Yeah.
is a barrier that we are going to encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Alexis and I were talking in the last live stream how that window, because I know you had recommended too when doing that meditation that you were speaking about, is waking up within a certain window of time, like in the morning, but not as soon as the sun rises, but kind of like shortly before. I would say like what, between 4 and 6 a.m. And same thing with lucid dreaming, and also with the visualization practice that I've been doing for a couple months now. It's like that's like the golden era for anything getting out of the body, having any kind of lucid dream, and just being in that space, that astral space, or the space of, in a sense, with creation. Because when I do the visualizations, my intention when I'm doing it in those time frames is to essentially manifest the reality or the outcome for something that I desire. And then I have a process where I get it up and I like write it down as well, just to like emphasize what I was setting intention to. But with astral travel or astral projection, that's also one of those times recommended after a certain amount of sleep, which will really correspond to that window of time between like 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, depending on when you went to bed, waking up, being up for maybe like 30 minutes, and then as you lay back to sleep, like, stating what it is that you intend to do, whether it's have a lucid dream, whether it's astral project, or whether it's visualizing, what you intend to manifest. Like that window of time is like golden. So that's a connection that I've seen in the three of these different practices. So I think that's really interesting. And yes, you have to essentially, not going to bed really tired, or like smoking weed has been a thing for me. I've learned that certain teas like passion flower, because they really like passion flower and skullcap. If I have those to drink, like I'm out, like I'm sleeping like through like full REM sleep, everything. So I know for me personally, if I'm doing anything like that, I kind of want to go to sleep with like not even certain teas. So Alexis, what about you? Do you feel inspired to try this, or are you
Oh,
like good with
absolutely.
and also
I
has
mean,
this like, and has it benefited you, like what you've realized has been a form of astral travel? Like, have you seen like an integration aspect of that, or a benefit?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, even thinking back about the chat we had about spirit guides, and thinking about these experiences with my spirit guides that I've had in my dreams, and that being outside of the dream, but actually like in a different realm, or in a different dimension, in a different like spiritual world. And the more that I think about it, the more it makes sense, because I really do like my lucid dreams. Like I lucid dream almost every night. And but there are a lot of dreams that are more sensory based than others, which really makes me feel as though it's more so an astral travel than a lucid dream, or even
Mm-hmm.
both. Like I know the one that I had talked to you about, that I felt was an astral, like maybe not an astral, I don't know if it was astral projection or astral travel, but there was a point in that experience where I fell back into dreaming. I knew I was lucid dreaming. Like there was a difference in the way that things felt and the way things were. Like it was more interactive, it was more sensory based, and more emotional. I think that's something that Lewis mentioned as well. There's more of this emotional sensory that comes with it. And I'm very inspired to continue, or not continue, but to intentionally try and get out there, because I mean, I am very open to so many different things, and I want to experience as much as I can. You know, if this is something that's going to benefit me and help me in ways that I never thought I could otherwise, I would love to include that in my routine, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or even just a yearly thing where it happens once a year. If it's going to benefit me and help me move to a higher, like just help me move to a higher level for myself in my journey, I want to experience that. I really, I've come to be so open to more than I expected. And like in the past, I mean. And in regards to so here's where I kind of have a different experience with it, but when I drink or I smoke, it has no effect on my ability to um dream or astral travel or anything like that. Um in some aspects it has pushed for a more intense experience. So I don't really know what that means or why. But
Do,
I haven't seen, and I do know people who they started smoking more and their dreams went away. But, you know, I've been smoking since I was like 14, 15 years old, and I have not had any kind of change in that. So I'm not sure how, maybe there's something wrong with me.
No. Were you going to say something, Lewis? Were you going to comment on that?
yeah, well, I would just she answered before I asked, which was like, have you been smoking for a long time? Because I think
Oh, okay.
that's the key, you know. If you
Yeah.
smoke for a long time, but you have every day, right?
Yeah, a lot. You know,
Pretty
like
much.
it's if it's not every day, it's every other day. I've had taken some breaks in between, but like it's now been half of my life.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
it's not for, I've heard of other people too that have like they can smoke and not have any effects on their dreams. And I think that's why, you know, with some people, it's like everyone's unique, right? Like for me, I know they say mugwort is good for dreaming and sleeping. For me, I mean, actually, I guess you could argue that it's good for lucid dreaming because I don't sleep restfully if I drink mugwort tea. Like I can smoke it, but if I drink it, I'm kind of like, I have crazy dreams that tend to be kind of lucid, but I feel that it's like dialed up where I almost don't, I have control, but I don't.
Yeah.
And so I think everyone's experience is pretty unique.
Oh,
But was
absolutely.
there anything, I don't want to like interrupt whatever else you had to share on that. If there was
No.
more there.
I mean,
Yes.
I agree with you. Like everybody's experience is completely different. Like
Yeah.
even if we're, you know, even if we have a similar experience, it's still like not the same because you're two different people with two completely
Yeah.
different ways of seeing and feeling and being in the world. So I love that uniqueness about all of
Or,
this as well.
or even if we experience the same thing, maybe we understand it differently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
How
true.
much
Yeah.
Yeah.
our perspectives are different, what we've experienced. So I feel like there's got to be another synonym I can use for this, but it's the only thing that's coming to mind. I feel like if you take all the times
It's
I said
straightforward, it's
experience, you could
direct.
have a whole episode by itself. But
Right?
it's like what you experienced, you know, before life, when you're born, who you were around, where you're living, what you're exposed to. Like your perspectives are different and your experiences are different. So
Mm-hmm.
even if you're having a say, yeah, exactly, it's gonna be different. It's so interesting. It makes it even more interesting knowing that.
Yeah. I like that Mary says it's the state of the body's chemistry can have an effect too. Which makes sense because everyone's mind is different. So your consciousness or the chemistry within your mind
Yeah.
has an effect on, you know, how certain things have an effect on you. Like some people's nightmares are silly to other people, you know, everything's relative and unique.
Yeah.
And I like even what Humane Dragon mentioned that they can drink caffeine and go right to bed, like an energy drink. And it's funny because I used to be like that. I don't know if it's like me getting older, but literally yesterday, I don't know if this is me creating my own reality, because like that is very powerful for me, especially right now with what I've been doing. And so yesterday it was 5 or 6 o'clock. I know I had an online ceremony to do, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't drink coffee right now, but I really want to drink coffee right now. It's fine. Like, I'll be fine. Coffee doesn't really affect me that way. But then last night I'm laying in bed and I'm just like, so I cannot, like, as soon as I drop into like that very peaceful state, like something like jolts me out of sleep, and it took me forever to like relax. And then of course it was in my head. So it was a whole thing. So I think that's really funny that Humane Dragon pointed that out. But yeah, for me, honestly, with that said too, I am very inspired to try astral projection, but at the same time, I feel for me now is not the time. Like, I have to kind of slowly work myself back into the deep trance meditation, because I don't know, after being a mom, it's just been hard to, I feel like I have to be in control. I have to have control of my reality in a way. And so when I've tried to, and my daughter's 4, so I'm somewhat of a new mom. It's my only child. And when I tried to even get back into the deep trance meditation, like I could do it, but it was hard to, I couldn't fully lose myself. And so I am also very intimidated by what I would see in the space, like leaving the body, as like I'm very sensitive already, and there's a lot of activity in my home, whether it's good or heavy, whatever. And so, yeah, I think it's like I need a bit more grounding, and just I need to kind of get right in the head in that way before I really dive into doing this practice again. But, you know, if it happens unintentionally, I'm not even going to speak anything in existence. So anyways, this is so fun.
Well,
Let me just check into.
well, in terms of benefits, I'm trying to think something negative about it,
Yeah.
and I can't, because I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
in my experience, I mean, it actually pushed me forward to in my spiritual practice or my spiritual path, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't, so yeah, I don't think there is anything wrong with it. Uh,
Yeah.
bec-
Yeah.
because I'm living in a building now, I saw the same thing. It's like, okay, what if I get out of the body and start seeing things from everyone in this building, you know?
Yeah.
So probably that's stopping me too, you know, from trying to.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I didn't share the benefits of my previous experiences. And I would say, for me personally, it was such strong validation for my spiritual everything. Because this happened probably, I think it was in like 2016, 2017. So at that point, I have been like a little over 10 years deep into like, this is my life type of situation with my spiritual practice. And so, you know how it is when you do all the things, you read about the things, but you don't necessarily have like that first hand experience with like the crazy stuff. And so, I mean, I already had that with sleep paralysis. I was like, this is wild. And that had been happening since I was like 13. And I feel with astral projection, it was like my soul, in a sense, was craving for that, because I was so into just like everything witchy, everything like spiritual and like occult. Like I felt that, but I didn't have like anything like tangible in that type of experience. And so I think it definitely validated that, yes, this is true. Like any little bit of doubt I had about that was definitely dissolved, as well as it actually helped me feel a bit safer with sleep paralysis. And I've had it a few times after that, but not like the crazy response that I would have before. And so I feel like that, yeah, it helped me to feel safe. And I also felt a stronger connection to ancient Egypt because of what I read in that time period of having the astral projection, that it's just speculated in a theory, right, that people that have sleep paralysis and have some sort of connection to the ancient Egyptian culture or practices, or those type of spiritual lifetimes, if that even spiritual lifetime, to those past lifetimes. And that just opened up a whole new aspect within my consciousness of like, what the fuck were the ancient Egyptians tapped into? What were they doing? Just like the way the whole burial situation was set up. And those are just the things I love. And so that experience of having the astral travel and astral, like out of the body experiences, were so profound in that way, for me, and like a great benefit for just like the continuing inspiration to move forward with what I'm doing. And like, you can't make this shit up. You really cannot make it up.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at with it myself, but I'm going to take it slow. And I'm going to start with the trance meditations again, as like now I'm into the heavy daydreaming visualizations all day long. So I feel pretty confident and comfortable with that. But yeah, let me see if there's any more questions or comments. Thank you for being here, Alexis and Lewis. Thank you to Jim and Humane Dragon. You have to let me know your name so I can call you directly by name if you desire. Mary, thank you for being here, and all the other viewers that are watching now or in the future. Thank you. Let me just scroll through here to
Thank you for
see.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same here.
So, oh yeah, there was a book recommendation called, let's scroll back up here, it was for lucid dream or astral projection. It's called Multi-Dimensional Man. I'm not sure.
Ooh.
They didn't write the author, but I will note that. He journals his adventures in the astral. The author also meets dreamers who were hazy and would fade in and out when they went back to their dream. Ooh, that's interesting.
That sounds
Multi-dimensional
crazy.
man. Yeah. Like, see, it's like, I feel like this is probably what I'm going to be doing once my daughter's like a teenager or whatever, doesn't care about what I'm doing, doesn't really need me. It's that point of,
Yes.
in their age where they're just like, go away. I think that I can, because I have Mars and Venus and Pisces, I can absolutely like lose myself in like fantasy and all of that. So thank you for that book recommendation. And I think that is it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Humane Dragon also says, Jace. Is that how you say your name? Jace, Jace. Says that I would recommend protection, looking into protection as well. While it's not often there are things that can be negative. So creating words and sigils with intent, which I'm the queen of doing. Like my whole house is a freaking protective shield sigil. Things get in at like really interesting times, like around Halloween and like Beltane, like when the veil is thin. Like I know, and I'm like, and I know exactly where they come in at because I don't have that space locked down, which I need to look into that. But anyway, so yes, that's a good point. Having that protection. I definitely go to bed saying mantras a lot of the time. And so yeah, that is key. Awesome. So I do want to share with those of you watching, thank you again for watching, everyone. So I have open enrollment for a Lucid Dream Circle with Alexis here. It starts April 2nd through the April 30th. It is, we'll be meeting up weekly every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. There is a topic that we discuss on lucid dreaming. We also share our experiences, share our dreams, and interpret that with one another. All the information is on my website, uraniauniverse.com. So go there if you are interested and want to learn more. Also, I decided to extend the discount offering until the 24th. So definitely take advantage of that. The discount code is Lucid. And yeah, that's it for this live stream. I'm so happy to have you guys here. Thank you so much.
Would you like to clear the energy before we go?
Yeah, let's clear.
Let's do it. Let's put our hand in our hearts. And let's breathe 3 times through the mouth. 1, 2, 3. Through the nose, out the mouth, 1. 2. 3. I love myself.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
And I let go of anything that doesn't serve me.
And I let go of anything that does not serve me.
3 times to the mouth again. 1. 2. And 3.
Wow. Thanks, Louis, for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.